Design Review Subcommittee meeting to order on March 29th. And let's just start with the approval of minutes. Commissioner Cosgrove, do you have a chance to review those?
I did. They look fine. I will move approval.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, those are approved. I'll go ahead and sign these for you, Jonathan.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, here, I have it on. I'll shoot match.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to new business. I don't think I need to read, we have a disclaimer here. I don't think I need to read that. You guys already heard. This is not a approval body. We're here to help you make our city of San Clemente a better city, hopefully, with the improvements you're proposing. So the first item we have is a minor architectural permit, 22-119, Loman balcony at 101 Via Bellas Artes. And we have a presentation.
My name is Laura Corey. I'm assistant planner with the planning division, and I'll be presenting Mr. Loman's balcony. It's minor architectural permit 22119. So the project is located in the Marblehead Coastal Specific Plan. It's a residential low zone. It's in the coastal overlay and in the Marblehead Coastal Visual Enhancement.
And all the houses are built out, so. Yeah.
Yes. Unfortunately, our GIS wasn't updated at that time. So the project description, it's a second-story balcony approved with building permit B18-1761. It was originally approved with a wrought iron guardrail at the front and two glass guardrails at the side. The wrought iron detail was later changed during COVID, and the final a revision was required to establish what was an as-built full rail glass on the balcony. So here's the site plan. So the alcove is there in the middle. There were other decks also being approved. So the alcove is in the middle there. That was the original elevation with the Juliet balcony. And then on to your far right is an elevation showing the glass railing as revised. And then shows the detail for the decks that had included the wrought iron detail. And that's the as-built, as you see today. So the Marblehead Coastal Specific Plan doesn't give precise details on rail modifications. The Sea Summit neighborhood, the CCNRs, does reference architectural plans approved by the Coastal Commission and the Visual Enhancement Plan. And what they say is that any addition should complement the home in color and in architectural style. So staff seeking DRC's feedback as-built guardrail design of the project and an interpretation. Is this consistent with the approved architecture for the Marblehead Specific Plan and the coastal approvals? Just to kind of give you a little extra, this was the approved plans for the development.
Doesn't look anything like it now.
Just showing the Spanish style architecture with the wrought iron details. This is the coastal enhancement plan. It does highlight some of the homes around the biological areas and showing kind of where they should have, structural, visual preferences. So Mr. Lohman's house is a corner lot, so he faces onto Artemisia on the side, and then the front on Bellas Artes.
It's way up at the top to the left.
Yeah,
This side.
sorry. I'll put my cursor.
Yeah, it's way up to the top left.
Right here.
Yeah, way at the top, yeah, there. There in the corner.
There we go.
So it's Artemisia and Bellas Artes
Yes.
corner.
Are you finished?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. So can you explain this one a little bit? Did we get this diagram in our packet?
You know what I did? I did include it as an attachment.
Okay.
Here's one if you want to take a look at it. Oh, sorry.
So, question, I guess. This was all part of a development, obviously a development, and then you've added on.
Yeah, I can add a little more flavor to this if you'd like.
Well, let me ask her a few questions first.
Absolutely, apologize.
We definitely want to hear what you have to say. So then there was a submittal for an addition to this property, which was approved. Did you go through an architectural control committee of any kind at Marblehead? Okay.
An HOA approval.
Okay, so you got an HOA approval with the glass.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so you
Was it
built
with the
it.
glass? I thought it was with the wrought iron initially.
For two, I think that they approved the wrought iron with the glass details and a full glass, and it said depending on city's approval. And in looking at this, a letter, after the revision, a letter was submitted to Mr. Lohman on behalf of the senior staff, just saying that they would prefer the wrought iron with the glass details. So that's why we were requesting the revision, and that we couldn't move forward with approving his building permit without going through this minor architectural permit to approve what is an as-built. So we approved the original with the wrought iron and the side glass. But because of circumstances, Mr. Lohman went with the full glass. During COVID, the business went out of.
I can add flavor here if it helps.
No, I definitely want to hear what you have to say, but we have specific questions
Sure.
for a planner. I just want to understand why we're reviewing this. I mean, why we're even giving our opinion. Because it seems to me, and chime in if
Sure.
you want to, but it seems to me like there's already an architectural control committee with Marblehead. They gave an approval, and just so I understand, it wasn't built exactly per the approval, is what happened, right?
The HOA gave two scenarios in which they could do the full glass or the wrought iron and glass on the sides, and per the city's approval. And when Mr. Lohman submitted his original building permit, it was decided that he would do wrought iron in the front and the two sides would be glass. Then with the delay of COVID and his building permit, the wrought iron supplier went out of business. And Mr. Lohman was reaching out during COVID and reached the building official who had sent him a letter saying you need to finish out your building permit, and he suggested that he do full glass. So that's where
The
we
building
stand.
official suggested that.
So it's
To
Jack,
finish off the permit, obviously different from the motives of the planning department, who had originally approved the wrought iron to be included in the details for the development, for like visual enhancement in keeping with the current design.
Okay, so ultimately this is going to ZA?
Yes.
So I'll interject there. So this is something that would be eligible for a staff waiver of a minor architectural permit. So it doesn't necessarily need to go to a public hearing with the zoning administrator. What staff's looking to do in this case, this is one of many requests that we've gotten for changes of this type. In a lot of areas of town development, especially in tract areas, didn't go through a full entitlement process that reviewed architecture. That was done extensively in this neighborhood. So when staff gets requests like this, and this is not the only one, there is a goal to assist the community, but also to keep with the character of the community. This is unique in that this is not just Spanish colonial. There is some glass elements already in the community, but that wasn't a prominent element in the elevations of the especially the second story elements of homes that were initially approved. So if in the scenario of the first discussion that was had with staff, not myself, but with staff, of having the wrought iron on the side, it would be a staff waiver level approval. Commonly, if we have a request like that where we say we feel confident as staff that this is in keeping with character, but your request is not to have the wrought iron and to have a different element, you still may get support, but staff doesn't want to make that decision on our own. We would like to get input from design review before finalizing a decision. So that's why we're here today.
Okay. And how does this come into play? That's a prominent site, is what you're saying? So it sort of sets a standard, as it were, for that whole development. In terms of being on a corner, prominent location.
It sounds like just the edges, the homes on the edges as you drive down the street.
Yeah.
They want the theme to be carried through the street.
Right.
So they're on where it's orange, the whole street. Now, if you turned, because I drove the neighborhood, that's why I'm here a little late, I just drove the whole neighborhood. Yeah, I can see the whole point of this. If you go down that main street, you want to see kind of the theme, but then if you turn down the street, that theme goes away. And there's glass all over the place. And wire, it's a combination. So it's not, it's kind of a toss-up. The question is, how hardcore do you want to be on the theme on the street? So.
Well, plus this is a corner lot.
Yeah.
So you've got frontage on two sides. Do you have any questions for our planner?
Yeah, I do. So the approval was initially to have glass there, right? Just not on the front,
On the side.
but the sides was glass.
Yes.
I thought it was the reverse.
So So originally it was to have, that's a side view, but on Artemisia, it was supposed to be wrought iron, and the two sides facing Belos Artes.
The front and the back could be
Right.
glass.
The front and the rear
Yeah.
to be glass. And so
That would be in keeping with the theme of the whole community.
So this, obviously you get the wrought iron back here,
Yep.
and then around the corner in the front.
yes, in the front there is details.
So this is the,
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. So to just box it in, I can't help myself. I really apologize.
That's all right.
But
It's
the
your
idea
own.
is the glass would stay in the front, glass would be in the back, and then the idea that exactly what you're saying, the theme of the street was, what they were carrying is they wanted to have wrought iron across the front. I don't know how well it would really look.
I know, I was thinking the same thing.
So I said this too, and it was Gabriel that was here, and I told Gabriel, I get what you're trying to do, right?
Yeah,
But we do have a view going in the front, we've been approved for it, and we'd really like to have the view. So if you think that this would be good, we'll do it, and plan on doing it. It's expensive, but we'll do it, and put the wrought iron, because it would have been really easy at the time I did the
Just
back. And
match
I
it.
agree with the back, because the back coming in, I think helps the house and the architecture,
yeah.
the way it currently is. But here, in my mind, if I put wrought iron all the way across here, in reality, it's going to lose a lot of the look of the house. Because you're going to see this wrought iron cutting across, and it's not going to be, all the elements aren't going to really show up as you're driving down that street. But that's just my opinion. I may be biased.
It's a toss-up.
So, yeah, exactly right. And so what happened was we were planning going down this path and we were trying to get finished, and it was 2020 in December. I get a letter from Jack Holden, and Jack says, you gotta finish. You know, your permit's coming to the end. We need you to get this finished.
Or it will expire.
It'll expire, yeah. So I called Jack and we talked a little bit, and he says, well, tell me, he says, can you look down the street or around you and see any glass? I said, well, I got glass everywhere. It's, you know, all the common walls are all glass. But he said, as far as, you know, elevations, and I said, for balconies, and I go, yeah, just right around the corner I could see one from my window. It's glass all the way across the balcony. Yeah. He says, it's just one, and I go, no, I'm sure there's more, I could check, but he said, if there's more than one, you shouldn't have a problem. I would recommend, and just because of public safety.
He just wasn't aware of the neighborhood edge.
Probably true, sir.
Yeah.
Probably true. But I did say to him that planning had specifically said that this should be wrought iron. I did say that. And so his response is you shouldn't be an issue, just go ahead and put glass. Now he's again worried about safety, right? He's building. But he's worried about having something open. We couldn't find a supplier. The supplier was Sky something out of San Diego. They went out of business. We did all the engineering work and everything with it to do part glass, and so the whole thing. So at the end of the day, we did what Jack said. Now I did call planning, and I left multiple messages with planning, but the whole city was closed. I received no phone calls back or anything else, so that's how we got to where we are today. So it wasn't on purpose.
You called on a Friday.
Well, it was COVID. The whole city was closed, so I didn't get any response. Yeah. So that's how we ended up with the glass, right? So it wasn't done intentionally or, you know, on purpose. But then what's happened is, since what we've had, or maybe even during the time, but I've sent pictures too, you'll see that of that whole street, the architecture's already changed. As you probably drove down all the way in, you'll see a really modern house that they went ahead and I couldn't believe it. I mean, they took all the brick off, they took everything off, and they claimed the HOA approved that. But I mean, it looks extremely modern, and it's in this protected zone area you have. And then if you go up and down and you just look up into that area, you'll see in this one picture, there's probably 5 or 6 glass balconies already established.
Yeah, down the streets.
Yeah. But it's still on that area. It's right on that public street as it goes around the corner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
No, you're fine.
Matter of
This is your project.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't meant to be that way, but somehow it ended up. I mean, I'm a homeowner, and all of a sudden I inherited this whole thing. Cause
I think Steve and I feel like you should just get your HOA stamp and move on.
I did.
Yeah, we
did.
But apparently it got thrown into our laps to
Probably
some
because
degree.
A building
To some
permit is
degree.
required for the add-on. the
So
balcony.
I've got the HOA approval, and it says the HOA says we don't care. You know, because I applied for the HOA saying, gee, all glass or part glass.
Yeah.
Depending on how it would work. Because so what is missing here in this conversation is I spent about a year with the city about what we're doing, including those decks in the back. They're actually self-standing structures, specifically to be able to put in, because that's the only way we could put those as a deck. So they can't touch the house. They're specifically designed, you probably remember this conversation, they're specifically designed to go underneath the foundation, everything else, and so
There's a
they do that.
differential movement of that. Yeah. So, what, do you have any?
Well, I mean, I think just trying to sort it out, it's sort of like there are places in town where we have, so, you know, general plan, right? Just the general, this is how we're, right? And then the city is chopped up into zones, right? So you have the commercial, residential, and high, low, medium, all that. This isn't even about that. This is the next layer down. In some parts of the city, there's another thing under that called a specific plan for neighborhoods or villages. You're in one of those. That's where you're snagged. There's a lot of places where we don't have that.
Yeah.
But in a village-specific plan are city vision around character of neighborhoods, what we want them to look like, so that there's a theme and we carry it through, and that's part of the elements of the specific plan. You just happen to be, that's where you're in. That's what's going on with this whole conversation. So when you come in for a building permit, well, where are you? Oh, you're in the zone. Cool, you're fine. Oh, wait, you're in a specific plan. Well, what does that say? So now we open that up, and now we're looking at it and we're saying, oh, well, You know, we're trying to carry this theme through. Probably should have been the wrought iron. That's where we're at.
And
Now
I
we need
appreciate-
an exception.
Yeah, and we did apply for that. Didn't realize we would, and I only found out about this when I went to do the final. So I did the final. They came through and says, "Oh, by the way, you did receive planning approval." So then I called the planning, and that's how.
That's because they're looking at the specific. They're the ones that look at the specific plan and say, "Well, wait a minute." So we're just citizens, and we're supposed to provide the community values.
Yeah.
So the staff says, "Well, this is what the paper says. You're representing the community and the community values. What do you say?" And if you say it's okay, then okay. So that's how this whole thing works. That's the context.
I appreciate that.
And and so we're in a position of, well, why would we want to make you rip it out? That doesn't make sense.
Well, it's a hardship, right? Because you're talking, if I have to rip this out, redo all the engineering, it's probably $20,000.
Yeah, that's
Well, there's different levels of hardship. You know, we look at these as,
For me, anyway.
yeah, I mean, and we obviously have to think about that, but our goal here is to preserve, quality of this neighborhood, and even to consider it possibly being a precedent, especially on
I
that.
think it's
yeah,
already
strip.
established, though, if you go down the street, and I've got pictures of that, and I appreciate that, though, thank you very much, and the explanation, thanks, and forgive me if I'm overbearing, because I don't mean to be, it's just it's been a drawn-out process. I didn't think there was going to be any issue, but I still question today the aspect of putting wrought iron and glass together, and what that really would look like for the community.
Well, for one thing, we're only seeing the side. Is there a photo that shows it from?
we're in the front.
front?
Yeah. Yeah. You mean from the
In the
street? Yeah.
report, I'm
Right in the
sorry.
corner?
I didn't see that.
I
In
didn't
the
either.
report, I thought we did include that.
I mean, you can always.
On
I don't know
the
if
site
you get on Google
photographs, this is the front of the house. I'm sorry, it's a little dark.
You can kind of see. Well, you can't really see it here, but
It just does show
Yeah.
the, I mean, the
Because
glass.
that's the angle that we're more concerned about.
actually, I think I personally am concerned about the edge, this side, as you drive down the
Is that
street.
this is a Google shot, right? This came off.
Yeah, no, this is because that's where you'd see.
He wants to look
wrought iron.
like standing in your driveway.
My driveway. Yeah, see the drive. So that would look weird because I looked at that too, and I don't know what. I probably could pull one up on my phone. You can take a look at it. But if you look at that from the driveway, it's going to be at an angle. You're going to see this wrought iron and this glass intersect. I mean, glass in the back. I think it is going to happen.
Personally, I would have gone all wrought iron or all glass. I don't know that mixing it makes a lot of sense, but that's just an opinion.
Well, it's not a good detail.
Yeah, it's just not.
So,
You can see just a little bit with the wrought iron here in the front, but it's not.
yeah, no, it's still a side view.
I mean, to some degree, I think the HOA has some role in this dysfunction because they.
Well, even our building official has some
Yeah, that
role
too.
in this,
But the HOA, CCNR should have in their architectural regulations, they should reflect our specific plan elements. They can't be out of alignment, right? That's why we spent all this time realigning all our specific plans to our zoning and general plan. Now we have an HOA misalignment.
And what's really strange about this is on the board was Taylor Morrison that signed off on the variance.
Yeah, wouldn't necessarily think that they're.
Yeah, that's not
works in
the
the
board.
Interest, yeah.
Yeah, it's not architectural control
Yeah.
The
committee,
one,
which even they don't have a lot of.
the one thing I'll mention to you, just to add some flavor to it, because I've worked on this for a long time, for nothing else, for about 8 to 10 years, is that there are substantive documents the Coastal Commission utilized and the city utilized, which were then passed once approved to the HOA over there at the site. That's supposed to be using those documents as a basis for approving modifications to the project. And it's been learned as of late that the review of that is not as in-depth as it should be. And the HOA is also, as I understand it from Laura, not the original intended HOA. It's now a different entity. It's a national
Different management
So
company.
we're
So they don't even, yeah, they don't.
So if I,
So, go ahead.
do you mind, if I could just direct you to the final page in this first grouping, coming back to, we as the city don't enforce CC&Rs,
Yeah,
right? But this is just a quick segment, even within the CC&R document, and this is the 412 too. The color and detailing, that's the limit of what is available, and it's comparable to the language that's in the specific plan, that color and detailing shall match existing structure, color, and style, and with not just in this scenario, but as was mentioned, and I haven't seen this other property. If there's another modern home on the street, there's been definitely a lack of strict adherence by the HOA, and so I think it might be in the city's best interest to be a little bit more specific on what qualifies as aligning with the details that are.
because as a homeowner, you look at details on what the heck does that mean?
It's
Yeah.
supposed to entirely be the
It's on
HOA,
that same street.
Yeah,
their design review.
Yeah, the only thing on this page, 17, is that what you're talking about, that could apply is this B, color and detailing shall
Exactly.
match existing structure,
for me, I
color,
feel like,
and style. So style is a very
yeah,
sort of open-ended thing, but we do have this, right, which, again, we don't want to belabor this situation, because I think there's a couple issues. Number one, okay, are we going to try to help maintain the style, okay, even though it's been just shot to heck already, okay, in the neighborhood? And number two, and I think it's pretty important, is it even a good detail
yeah,
to have, if that's what they approved, somehow to have wrought iron on the sides, and really it's the front, to have glass on the front. That's not a good detail, because you look at buildings in 3 dimensions, and you're going to see where those come together,
yeah.
and it's never going to be a good detail.
No, it
So in the
looks like
beginning,
someone made a mistake.
yeah, here we are in a position where we're trying to preserve the specific plan guidelines of the style, and someone has already approved and recommended a detail that we would never accept. Okay, so and to me, I don't want to be long-winded, other than you need this kind of information to pass on to the ZA. I think it's got to be all glass or all wrought iron.
I agree.
And I'm inclined to say, just because of the precedent that's already there, because you drove, I've been in there, but I didn't drive the whole neighborhood, to say the glass actually fits, because there's so many other houses
Yeah,
that you can see
yeah,
that have it.
yeah.
So, but being careful
Going
to say
forward.
that if there's a house where we have a detail that will work with the wrought iron, it's a better solution.
And it should be all,
Yeah,
100%.
the whole thing should be wrought iron.
Yeah,
I mean, I could see, even with the view, it sort of frames a view. I mean, you could say, well, it encroaches. People that are maybe purists or whatever would say, hey, the wrought iron kind of messes with my view, But, hey, that's the way it is, If you could have modern homes in there, then this style just wouldn't work. I mean, views and Spanish colonial architecture, they don't work well together. We already know that, right? That's why you have to create these trellises and deep set openings where you still have big expanses of glass. So I'm inclined to say, let's just go with the glass at this location. And I'm curious what you think.
yeah. I think I just for practical reasons, if nothing else. But on top of that, it's not to me a problem. But I do think we should try and fix the root issue around the disconnect between the CC&R and our specific plan. And then going forward, I think our planning department should stick with one or the other. And
Yeah,
to be
but we're not
consistent.
really-
I don't commingle those details in a single implementation of an element. That just doesn't.
Yeah, that could come from planning.
Yeah, that's what comes. Yeah.
But planning didn't even have an opportunity to make that call. It doesn't sound like it.
Well, they did. I think that's
Originally, they had, when Mr. Lewin first submitted, they said the partial
Okay.
wrought iron and then glass.
That should
But
never.
then
Yeah, I think in the future,
never
that's
has.
what we're trying.
Yes.
I think the value of
Okay.
having this discussion let's fix that going forward.
So full wrought iron.
In which case,
Or
we
full.
probably would have gone with the wrought iron.
Yes, if we
Well,
were,
for whatever that doesn't
But then-
matter.
Yeah.
if we were from scratch, definitely.
Yeah, and I think we need to make that statement because there is the precedent thing with this view area, wherever you describe that with a specific plan, where this could come up again, and you said you got a lot of requests. But first of all, planning needs to know that we need to stick, especially in these
On
properties,
the edges.
we need to stick with the wrought iron
Yeah,
because the glass is not compatible.
right.
It's going to be okay on this one, it's not the end of the world, but
We got our
we need
wires
to make
crossed. Yeah.
big, megaphone announcement and planning. You don't mix glass with wrought iron, right?
So all the hassle you went through slipped through.
It wasn't meant to be a hassle.
But,
anyway. It was meant to be
well, no, I'm sure your wife's going, what, this isn't over with? You have to go there again?
Absolutely, it's like, but the nice part of it is
What's
that I
going
got
on
to know
with
the
those
city
people?
well.
So I wouldn't want to have to go home and explain that, but that's why I wanted you to have the context. This is not red tape bureaucracy, we're just trying to follow rules, set rules, so that they preserve the integrity of our small, Spanish villas by the sea, and carry those all the way through. And then these are the implementation ways that we do it through the specific plan and all zoning and all that. And so there's been some wire crossing. Hopefully we can be better. And
The nice part, if you look at the back decks, they look beautiful.
Yeah,
As far as
they
up and
do.
down, they look really good. I think we did a great job with that piece of it, and we really stayed with what we said we were going to do.
Yeah, no, that's really
And I think
nice.
so my only suggestion for people that if you did have something like we have, if it's a small area, you may have pockets where you could potentially do small things, but stay, about like what we did.
Okay,
Thank you.
So, we're not approving it, we're just making.
We're just giving our opinion.
Still gotta go to ZA.
Well, it doesn't have to go to ZA.
No, yeah, so
It's up to
Oh,
staff.
that's-
They could do
It's
a
up to
waiver.
staff, no,
Okay,
do a
yeah.
waiver.
Yep.
There you go, you're done.
So I appreciate
You're
it,
all
thank
set.
you.
You'll probably get your waiver.
There you go. Thank you for your time.
Jack will be happy before he retires, I'm sure.
Thank you, Laura.
Yeah, nice to see you again.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, moving on.
Let's see here.
Item 2B.
I keep wanting to say adrift instead of drift. Adrift. No, it's drift.
That's
No, it's a drift. No, a drift.
Maybe that's their their next concept.
Well,
Actually,
no,
somebody snaked, and it's in
Adrift.
Oregon, adrift.
a drift is
Oh, it's already.
Even though they contacted us and our lawyer said you can't use that,
The trademark.
they went, our trademark lawyer, and then they went ahead and
we're
snuck
playing
it.
nicely,
I
right?
like drift
Okay.
better.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, next project on.
Do I
the
need to
list here.
announce?
Yeah, so
Right.
yeah, let him
Sorry, go
know.
ahead.
It's okay. So, next item, conditional use permit, 22-370, and minor cultural heritage permit, 23-116. So it's a double whammy. Hey, go ahead.
Double whammy. All right, so my name is Chris Johnson, Senior Planner, City of San Clemente. The winners are here, applicants. Thanks for coming out today. Real quickly, the project is being reviewed today is Drift Distillery and Kitchen. The project would be located at 115 South El Camino Real and proposes to open a new restaurant within the footprint of an existing building. The proposed restaurant would also include a tasting room, light on-site manufacturing of hard alcohol, and amplified live entertainment. The zoning for the project is within the downtown mixed-use 3 zoning district, and is also within the central business and architectural overlays. Design Review Subcommittee review of the project is not required for minor exterior alterations. However, due to the project's location within the central business and architectural overlay districts, Planning Division staff is requesting design review of the project as it relates to the design, scale, materials, and to ensure architectural quality, style, and consistency with city adopted guidelines in this highly visible downtown location. And we have a short presentation here for the project. Here we go. So here's the project location as shown in the staff report. This location here at 115 South El Camino Real. Here's sort of an overview, project description, which is also in the staff report. Again, the proposed project is a 3,750 square foot proposed sit-down restaurant with a 300 square foot ancillary distillery tasting room, which is interior to the 3,750 square foot restaurant, and then a conversion of a portion of interior space to a approximately 300 square foot patio area, and as I noted, amplified live entertainment. Some of the proposed improvements that are being made, for the most part, obviously to exterior components of the project, or the building rather, specifically to update doors, windows, and canvas awnings. The repainting of the stucco building white as it is presently with a black trim, and a partial conversion of an interior space, as I noted, to an open air feel patio. Other elements that are being incorporated in the design are wrought iron railings and gooseneck lighting for the project, and then there are some dark stained screen fencing also being proposed, as we'll see, for the trash enclosure and for HVAC roofing equipment. Here's obviously some existing photographs. Don't know if you all had an opportunity to drive by, but this is an existing building, again, as I noted, pretty bland in its current appearance. There is a parking area there with some parking up along Avenida de la Estrella, up at the top, about eight or nine parking spaces, I believe. Here is a picture of the site plan, kind of just general overview, showing some access, ADA access along the sidewalk there to the building primary structure. The outdoor patio area, as proposed, shown here. Parking area up top, and the parking here. Next slide. Here's a general look at the floor plan for the restaurant. We've got some outdoor tables here with some seating, and then additionally, here's where the live entertainment would be, of course. Kitchen area back here, and then a small distillery space here up in the front of the building along the frontage on El Camino Real. Here is obviously a look at the elevations and materials that are being proposed for the project along El Camino Real, and then a shot kind of looking in through the parking lot at the patio area shown here, the proposed patio area, and the primary entrance to the building. Of note in this drawing here, or this rendering, are the dark stained trash enclosure materials, and then HVAC material, and the parking is just beyond this proposed structure here. Actually, we'd like to mention a few things here real quick. So over here on the materials, these are the various materials that are being proposed. As I noted, the door frames, decorative wrought iron material here at the entrance, rather here, and then around the outdoor patio area. One of the elements that's being proposed to the space on the patio is a retractable patio roof that you can see in this example here. Along. And then in short, this is the analysis that staff has performed after review of the various downtown elements, overlays rather, for the architectural overlay, Central Business District, and the design guidelines. And with respect to these findings, they are specific to what staff is considering minor modifications to the building. And that is basically the analysis. The conclusion is that staff is seeking input from the design review committee today regarding the architectural design and whether the project can be forwarded for determination by the appropriate reviewing body, which would be the Planning Commission in this case.
Okay. Any questions? Okay.
And I can kind of go back here to anything that you'd want to discuss.
We can just go back and forth if you want.
Well, I'd like to hear, like the second to last slide, if you can put that up again. No, the written.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. So, do you guys have anything that you wanted to present? Because these key elements right here, there's 4 of them. We'd like to hear how your proposed project addresses these 4, because that's what we're tasked with looking at specifically. Okay, are we taking a look at these, and are we sort of dealing with them and proposing a project that meets these requirements? So we'd like to hear.
Well,
Your architect's not here, I assume.
No.
it's not.
No.
I don't.
Okay.
Have you guys had a chance to drive by there recently at all?
I'm there almost every day.
Right. So you can see how old and outdated the awnings look. That random just railing.
Just do a timeout.
Okay.
Let me just stipulate, what you're proposing is huge improvement.
Right.
That's
So I was just.
Not
sorry.
the question.
Well, the conversion, the first.
I mean, look at each of these and
point.
just tell me if you could. If you're not
Yeah.
prepared, that's fine.
No,
Yeah.
We'll assume. But we'd rather hear from you how you are addressing each of these items.
Well,
This is
I
where
was
your
trying to
architect
address
would
the
have been real
first
helpful.
one. I was trying to address the first one in the fact of, yes, it will improve that because that's the first point.
Well,
No.
no.
Oh, it's not? Okay,
No.
sorry.
How does it improve the pedestrian?
It
Or
looks better,
orientation.
but that's not how
Okay.
that is interpreted. That's interpreted differently in terms of the interface between pedestrian traffic and the building function. So what you would need is, what we're looking for is how does the building function for pedestrians? How does it enhance the pedestrian experience?
Well, it's not vacant.
There wouldn't be trash in front of it as
Yeah.
there is currently
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Hopefully that would also help with, like I said, there's been some homeless people there, and with it being occupied and upgraded,
We
That would-
stipulate all that. That's not a
that would
problem.
hopefully
It's
help
things like, it's more along the lines
people
of,
walk by and.
you're continuing the span, think about the last one.
Well, how is a pedestrian?
Experience.
Let's just say it, how is it enhanced by
Right.
what you're proposing to do?
To make
So-
to
Or
reflect,
becoming a destination spot with distilling spirits.
to reflect San Clemente's little village by the sea,
Yeah.
feel, the charm of the city, not the nature of your business,
Yeah.
not that it's clean, not that it's no trash, but how do you perpetuate our city little Spanish by the sea theme by your art, by your elements on the outside to make it engaging for pedestrians to get that small town charm. How are you proposing to introduce the charm to the city?
So on the renderings, we looked at all the elements that we could do in that space. So we don't own the building, so there's definitely a budget of how much we want to pay to make someone else's building. So like doing features, roof features and stuff like that is not in our budget. We're taking an existing building, we want to update it and make things look clean, nice. We're using examples of what was approved for certain types of lights, color palette, all that, and
So let me help you.
that's
So here's an example of a pedestrian element, this plant, that planter. So here's options. Here's probably conversations you should have with the architect. Should we have an engaging seat wall here with plants on it? Do we want to do a planter like this? You have to think about, well, what are we trying to create here? What kind of environment? So it's trade-off. So that's probably your most prominent element. You're adding a brick. How does the brick fit into our Spanish architecture?
that brick's existing.
Okay. Yeah, so you're in a Spanish architectural revival zone.
Yep.
You're supposed to look like that. Now, that's the part where we come in to try and help you and say, well, you're an existing, legal, non-conforming building.
Yeah.
You don't look that way. We don't think we should burden your project with it, but what are you doing to try and meet us a little bit? What are you doing to try and enhance it, to move us inches closer towards that little Spanish by the sea, charming type of architecture with the outside of your building, right?
Yep.
That's the conversation we're trying to have with you, and your architect would have been really helpful to express that language to us.
Yeah, what we request, actually almost require, is that the architect, on your behalf, address these overlay design guidelines, because our job is to review and make sure that those are addressed, and they're addressed appropriately.
Yeah.
And, you know, things like budget, though, hey, I'm a working architect, okay?
Yeah.
So I understand, you know, I just left a meeting where the landlord we were kind of doing a little arm wrestling.
Yep.
But he wants you as a tenant, and we want you to be successful. We want to be able to welcome you and say, yeah, what we're going to propose, which you choose, whether you want to do it or not, is going to help you to be more successful and also address these guidelines, which, you know, that's the space you picked, and it's a good space. I mean, you have the potential to be very successful at that location. I'm sure you know that. So instead of, I think, Cameron, instead of making suggestions, I'd first like to hear like each one of those.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, you know, you're being caught off guard.
Yeah, that's why I just don't think it's fair.
Because our architect's not here?
No, the owner can understand these things, but we shouldn't even get a submittal that doesn't address these guidelines, especially if it's in this location.
Yeah, and I don't want to do the job of that for him, but I will note that with regards to that, those questions there and consistency with the various guidelines is that initially the Winters went in and they had submitted plans. We provided quite a few pages of material, given the overlays of the types of architecture and elements and accents and so on and so forth. And so they've had those, and they did make a pretty considerable upgrade, specifically with the lighting, the decorative element, the dark stain for the parking areas, the awnings, changing out the awnings. Those are black, so there could be some discussion about that. But what I did was, for purposes today, and maybe this will help facilitate the discussion, is pull out from the various locations within our guiding documentation about how the project starts to fit or is fitting in those within the criteria. It's a little small to see, but it's intended to be focusing on the areas that are kind of starting to land in that area with regards to the existing building and some of the enhancements that are being made. So that might be a good place to start.
Yeah, like the whitewash stucco walls, that's like number one,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right now, that building looks horrible. So, you know, but if you're saying, well, we're only going to spray paint some white on it, we're not going to whitewash it, we're not going to treat it, we're going to maybe, you know, just throw some paint on it, let's talk about that, you know. Will that improve? Will that add that feel to it? I mean, did you talk about that with your architect, different options
Yes.
there? Okay, can you walk us through that?
Well, just knowing, we've lived in San Clemente for 28 years, just knowing how that area is and people that we've worked with in the past, we understand the sensitivity of everything that goes in this town. So when we decided on this property, even the architect was coming by and let's do this. I'm like, no, we can't. Like, we should put a big mural over here and do this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, we want to be elegant. We want to be a simple. I guess our ideas were, since we're not reinventing the wheel of the property, we move in and we just do some.
And we're trying to tie in with the other restaurants, like across the street is
Street,
Gemma.
that's just a
Gemma,
white building,
that is
simple,
white stucco
you know,
with the black awning, and then you've got South and Nick's catty corner to it, and we're trying to tie in with that. We're not.
But I know that since we're not doing any major construction to the actual building, we wanted just to like, hey, let's take the stupid graffiti off those windows. We're gonna do nice windows and doors. We would like to do, nice lighting, add some bushes, add seating outside. However, when we pull building plans, we haven't done through the whole, this is just conceptual because we didn't want to go through the whole engineering and all that stuff.
That's smart. Yeah.
Kitchen. So we just wanted to get approved before we actually do that. Of really being able to go through and develop it as we go. As soon as if we do get the nod of approval, then it's go time, and then we can really get down to budgets and, having seating outside. So the patio, which is existing, taking that, having a retractable roof, being able to have seating that's inside, outside. But does that mean that there's not a bench, waiting benches out front with an umbrella? Maybe they can have cocktails while they wait for dinner.
But I guess we just assumed that everything that we proposed was actually tying into the Spanish Village by the Sea and the downtown corridor, because we're just, even, like you said, not that we're just going to slap up paint, but just updating it and is an improvement over what is already there. But that's why we already went into this with going, okay, if we put this awning in and these lights up and do this with this, it is keeping in and upgrading it to that Spanish Village by the Sea feel. So my head, I thought we were tying in, instead of trying to go, oh, you know what, let's do maybe brown stucco, because there wasn't a brown around there.
That would not fly.
Exactly. But brown is one of the
I would say the
Spanish
biggest,
Village of the Sea.
I would say that for me, looking at your building, I like a lot of it. The issues I have that I would like you guys to reconsider are the windows and the doors. So if you look at South of Nix, they're,
Dark brown.
their doors, heavy metal wooden door.
Yeah.
That's number one in Spanish architectural revival. You don't have glass doors. You have big, heavy metal wooden doors with a nice ornate handle on it. That's one thing. The windows aren't supposed to be huge like that. They're supposed to have maybe transits or other elements there. You can see in, but it's not just like this big Macy's department store window.
Yeah.
Those would be the two biggest areas where I think you could go back to your architect and say, how do we put a little bit more into the door and a little bit more into the windows to try and move it closer to, and you can look in on the San Clemente City website, are the Spanish architectural Henry Lenny design guidelines. It's right in there. There's a whole section on windows and it talks about it in detail.
Yeah. So how do other restaurants like across the street get away with the same style of
We didn't,
doors and
I
windows?
personally didn't review those.
Me neither.
I don't
So
know.
yeah, I'll interject real quick, because there is, and this is part of why this is not a decision-making body, but there are some conflicting guidelines also that we come across on occasion, and this is one of those. We have a guideline for architecture in pedestrian-oriented districts in the standard design guidelines that does allow for in central business retail districts to have larger windows, and yet standard Spanish colonial revival architecture is going to have divided lights, and that's going to be something that you see very commonly. That's going to be like our preference or priority. What could be discussed, and again, this would be maybe something that we can
I don't
continue
think
to
we should be hardcore one or the other. I think that's what I'm trying to, can you massage it?
Yeah,
of course. And there's things that we've thought and like, okay, well, having a more, and I don't even know what they call them with the windows with all the little panes through them, and
that's the divided lights.
The divided.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, so is that is that a make or break deal for us opening a restaurant there? No, and if it's, we present what we prefer, but if there's things that come down to it where if the city's not going to approve it because we don't have a big heavy wooden door.
No, we're not
or
approving.
like
We're just giving.
No, I know, but you guys
But you're going to go to the planning commission. That's where they approve it, and you don't want them to say, "Well, where are all these elements?" Turn to us and go, "Well, we mentioned it to them."
Yeah.
And then have them go, "Yeah,
sorry,
no thanks."
and that's
We're trying to set you up for success.
I understand.
Even though it feels like we're giving you a hard time, we're really trying to actually give you a little bit of a, coaching
Right.
here.
And I guess, like Jonathan says, is that even within that space, there's conflicting things. So we're trying to take, and also like with the big windows, we're putting a really nice looking still up front. So that was like why we want the big window on the frontage to show that, because craft distilleries are not very many.
Yeah, but
in
we don't
the
have, I
country or
don't
even
think,
in the
I think we're
state.
getting in.
So, but I'm
Too much
just
detail.
saying that was why we went with the big windows, because we go, okay, well, we see Gemma across the street, they have all the windows, we see this, that, and then we're trying to incorporate, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but we're trying to show off what we can offer to the pedestrians, to people, to the tourists coming into town, while maintaining that classic Spanish Village by the Sea feel, which is another great part of being in San Clemente in itself.
Right.
So it's trying to mix and mash these ideas, but keeping the look of the downtown area for our business at the same time, as showcasing it
Yeah, I
as
mean,
well.
you're in the hub. I mean, it's right,
Yeah.
right in the
Yeah.
middle. So let's just back up for a second. Can we go back to the slide with the 4 criterias? Okay, let's just start with the first one, okay? And let me just preface it by saying, because you need a CUP, because you're in architectural overlay,
2 of them.
Yeah.
those are big. Both of those are big. You that will be approved by planning commission, and assuming it is an appeal, which there's nobody here, arguing against the project, so I doubt that.
You never know. Once
I
it,
doubt that
you
would
get
happen.
to a public hearing, you never know.
But once those things happen, then you're good. Then you're good to go, right?
Mhm.
You're taking the space and basically gutting, it, right, and putting in a whole new restaurant. And so we look at this a couple ways. Number one, let's just look at the first item. Conversion of this space serves to preserve and strengthen the pedestrian orientation of the district. So the district, to me, and I walk up and down that street just like you guys do,
Mhm.
okay? So I'm looking at this as that's criteria, that's a guideline. If I was going to visit, which I plan to, the restaurant, how would I feel that it was enhancing that experience? And we can just start at looking at the site plan. And there's some givens, but if you're walking down the street and you turn in, first of all, there's a driveway right there. Okay, that's a given. I understand that. But when you come in, there's a tiny little entry, sort of a platform where you either go up the steps in the front, and if the door is swinging open, then you're going to knock somebody off those steps. Okay, that's the first place I'm going to look to go in if I'm entering the building. If you go around, we have handicap access with this little ramp. Everybody that's going in is going to be on, what is it, a 4 foot? No, it's a 5 foot by 5 foot landing. Okay. Not only is it dangerous, it's not inviting. Okay.
And it's a ramp.
And
It's with
compared
steps,
to,
right?
and just looking, at that first item about the pedestrian experience, the other option you have is to go down further and go in through the patio. Is that what you want to encourage? Well, you're gonna get it for sure, because people are not going to get in. Number one, there's no place to sit or wait once you get inside. So first thing you're going to have to do is turn around and walk back out, and there's going to be people coming in. There's going to be a conflict right there. So this whole arrangement right in the entry, it doesn't work. Okay, your front, the door in the front, that's an emergency exit. So you don't want people coming in there anyway, because they're going right into the dining room. And again, I understand this is what you get with this space, but this is a problem for the building owner as well as the tenant. That's just one item here. Another item is the trash enclosures. If you look in the back, you've got parking, and I know you need parking. I assume when the trash comes, there's an assumption nobody's parking in those spaces, so that
Yes,
they can
that
actually
was-
roll the
That was
cans
that
out.
was a
It's a comment. It's a DM.
comment like when trash pickup would be scheduled would be before our operating
Your hours
hours.
are
Yeah.
open.
Because
But it's-
currently
but
there's
this is
no
a public
trash
parking.
enclosure. It's
Yeah,
they're just
parking
There's
out
a shared
there.
parking agreement for it.
Right.
Yeah. So, but currently there's no trash enclosure. They're just visible from the street, and then we were going to leave it like that. But then when we submitted, they said
was
no,
one,
we
like,
want
we
it
gotta
to be
screen that.
enclosed. So
Okay.
There's a lot of illegal dumping too from I think Holy's and the other businesses close by. I've seen people carrying stuff over, so we'd have to lock that up.
Yeah, that's not ideal, but you don't have much choice there. Obviously,
Yeah.
where you're going to put those. But this whole, I kind of circled it on my. If you go back to the site plan, well, no, you go there. Well, that's fine. This whole area here, which is, if you come out, you have your whiskey, I don't know what you guys.
We make whiskey, vodka, gin, rum.
Yeah, where are you gonna go?
All the above.
Where are you gonna go, right? You're gonna be in the parking lot, with no place to go except maybe out on the public sidewalk with your whiskey, which is probably discouraged.
We probably
Okay.
won't permit that, actually.
Yeah, it's illegal.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll probably say it's on-site consumption only.
Yeah.
so a suggestion is, how do you, this is the pedestrian experience, walking up and down the sidewalk. Okay, what's this experience looking at the front of the building, which again, I know you inherited it to some degree, and then trying to figure out when there's cars coming in and out of this driveway, how are you gonna get up here when there's a door that you can't even get past because people are coming out because there's no place to wait, there's no lobby space. So to me, this is a huge problem right here.
Yeah, when you compare yourself to across the street, Nick's, where are their openings? Right on the street.
Some of them are, but they also, south of Nick's, there's a little courtyard. But again, we have to look at this independently, this project. We can't say, well, because it was done here.
But you bring up a good point, and that's what's inviting. If you have it right on the street and you make it like
Well, so that first item,
Yeah.
that first item, it's not addressed at all. At
Well,
all.
unfortunately, there's an elevation, so we couldn't
Right?
have
Yes,
the street.
agreed.
So there's no solution. There are solutions, but there's no attempt that I can see to address that first item. So let's go back to the 4. So, okay, so there's one, sorry, there's a problem. And we're trying to be helpful.
Yep.
I'm not trying to,
We want you to get an
Right.
approval when you get to the next
Okay, let's
step.
look at number 2. Architectural treatment complies with architectural overlay and design guidelines for minor modifications. Okay, so you have a little bit of leeway because it's a minor, you would say it's a minor project. But this is a prominent location. Not only do you have the front as if it was just a storefront, but you've got the corner because of the parking lot,
Yep.
right? So it's completely open and it's the hub. So the treatments that you're proposing, though they're cleaning it up, I give you that, they're not moving it towards the design guidelines for that architectural overlay, which is the Henry Lenny, Spanish colonial revival. And I'm not suggesting spending a lot of money to do that, but there's, in my opinion, and I don't know if you agree, there's very little attempt at bringing it towards that. And I'll make a couple suggestions about how I think that could be done. So at the moment, I hate to say, but that's also an X, okay? I don't like to use an X, but, so let's go to the third one. Project improves the quality and architectural integrity of the existing building. Okay, I think, what you're proposing,
Yeah.
I can see where that's being done. Project design is in keeping with existing architectural style.
The architectural
And it's
integrity of the
compatible with
building.
other businesses in the area. Okay, you've mentioned that, right, Gemma? So, yeah, it's consistent, but if you're in that location, which I'm there a lot, that's an eyesore, that building. It's not you see it, but in no way does it enhance the feeling of that, or the character of that hub of our city, which, sorry to say, because you need a CUP and you need to get the modification, we have jurisdiction, to be able to try to get you to move, and we want to be reasonable, right? That's what we want to be. So those are problems with the site plan that you may say, well, there's nothing I can do. You got a driveway right here.
Yeah.
Where am I going to put this stuff?
Yeah.
Well, there is a little notch, if you want to call it that, between your proposed patio and this other entrance where you could put some waiting there, okay? But you have to enhance that space, kind of like as you walk in the south of Nick's, there's people hanging out there.
Yeah.
It's a nice enough space, right? And you could do it with some landscaping or whatever. And I'll get to the architectural part, but in terms of the function, and this is a big stretch maybe, but you've got the parking up top with 2 driveways, and then you've got the parking down below with another driveway that's in a location that's like super dangerous. I've tried slowing down, pulling in there. It's like somebody's going to ram into me. Okay, is there a possibility of eliminating that driveway on El Camino Real and having big sign parking up top? Everybody knows that you park up above. In these projects, and having a turnaround. So if somebody comes in from up top, because you can get down below, obviously, from up top, there's no parking, you turn around, you go back up top. That way, you don't have this dangerous situation, which is very dangerous, where you've got cars coming across where people are parking their car and trying to walk into an entry that, by the way, they can't even hardly get into. Okay?
I think that makes sense because today there's first of all, it's just a little pizza place and then the barber shop, so you don't have that. Most of the people that park there are going back to culture.
Yep.
So
you want to have a volume of people coming in.
And you've got how many seats?
I think our total occupancy is
Over
120.
100, right?
Over 100.
82 inside.
So
Yeah.
one of the things that I know it's not in scope here, but are they going to qualify for that many seats with their parking?
As was submitted, they're like 6 seats over. So one element to clarify, it's labeled as a public lot. It is part of this private property.
Yeah.
There's the public signs go up when they have a lease agreement with the city. That doesn't diminish the credit of parking spaces that go to those businesses. So all of the parking spaces here, regardless of a P sign being up in the lot, do count towards the seat.
Because what I'm driving at is let's just not get into the argument, but let's just play with the scenario. You can't park all your seats, so then you have to give up some of your seats.
Well,
Just hear it out.
Okay.
6, whatever the number is. That's not that many. Well, all of a sudden that could change the dynamics of where you can put an entrance. Because now you're moving, you lose a table here or there. You've got room to actually make a corridor into your place because you don't have seats there anymore. So you've accomplished 2 goals. Now you're parked and you've created a street scene that's better, and your business is probably going to thrive better too, because what he's saying is super valuable, right? When you walk by, you're not invited in off the sidewalk. You've got to turn a corner and compete with cars in the parking lot. Right there, just from a business standpoint, that's kind of risky for you. Because people may go, I'm not going in there. It's just I don't get it. I don't know how to get in there. It's not worth it. Whatever. If you change the orientation to be pedestrian as a priority, well, you might think in the short, right, oh my God, I'm giving up 60. Oh my God, I'm having to spend money. But the reverse thought is it could explode your business in a way that it wouldn't organically explode without it. That's the value of the architecture. That's the value of this process.
well,
It's just food for thought. We're not telling you what to do.
and we're not suggesting that you lose any parking at all.
Any seats.
Well, I think
or
we
seats.
have to lose some seats based off of what we discussed the other day.
Well, and the other thing is, we understand it's hard to park in this
Oh yeah,
area.
the parking lot is
Okay,
is
even up
pretty
top,
tight.
it's a hit and miss, at best.
Really hard.
We get that.
Yeah.
But that's because it's a popular place to be,
Yeah.
right? And good planning understands that having parking issues means you have successful businesses, right?
Yep.
We get that.
Yep.
Okay, so just even assuming that you can fit all those seats in and you have enough parking, it needs to be inviting. You're not addressing that. And I can't think of any reason, because I've been an architect for longer than I care to admit sometimes. I can't think of any reason why you couldn't close off that driveway and use that space, because it would be much safer. You could have a gathering space outside, which would be pedestrian inviting. You could put some landscaping, some chairs. It's Southern California, right? San Clemente, best weather in the world, supposedly. Although this year, that's questionable.
Yeah.
But just imagine the activity outside, right outside your front door. You could eliminate this thing here, this entry. You got to have a ramp, obviously, but it's not a big step up. You only have 18 inches, it looks
Yeah.
like, which this doesn't work anyway, because that's supposed to be 18 feet.
We did discuss with the architect at first having having the where the barber shop is opening that up and doing a setback. So obviously,
I think this is better though. This is better than do it in the
You
front.
can
I
even
didn't
consider
mean to
those,
cut you off.
those, nowadays, when you get a nice new home and your back patio is not just a door, it's some of these things that slides, it's the length of this table kind of thing.
yeah,
You could consider that as your front.
Yeah.
When you open for business, you slide that thing way open.
yeah.
And you can change the flow. You can. Have you been to the Los Molinas Brewery?
Yeah.
Right? It's different. That Los Molinas is a different thing.
Yep.
But the openness is what I'm trying to
Yeah.
steer you towards. Like, they just open those doors up and you're just like, it's just in.
But would you guys allow?
Yeah, I
would
was gonna say,
You
we
guys
didn't
wouldn't
think
allow
that you would
roll-up doors,
allow
would you?
Not a roll-up door.
No, a barn door, you would.
Oh, yeah, the
We
big
didn't
sliders.
think
They're-
a
It's a
barn
big
door would be-
slider. That's something to talk to the guys
I mean,
about.
I believe they're called barn doors, but yeah, I mean.
Well,
I
no, they
didn't
make
think that-
wood. They make a big wood slider that opens.
Yeah.
And
like-
the accordion type too. I think
Yeah, it's a collapse.
Gemma has the black, but it collapses and it opens up the whole front.
But we
Yeah.
didn't think that would be
Yeah.
part of the Spanish stuff.
Because
You're going to have the big windows anyways. There's no real difference.
Yeah, I would consider this arrangement on the site plan because it's going to hurt your business. Being, as having this log jam right here in the corner, where, if you think about it, you can't even walk if the door's swinging out, which they
Yeah.
have to swing out.
Yeah.
That's going to be blocked,
Yeah.
and that's where most people want to go in.
If you say, hey, we're doing a trade-off. We don't have the Spanish thick big doors, but we're making this pedestrian and oriented, so that's why we have the collapsing door, and it opens it up and it changes the street scene completely. That's a trade-off.
Yeah.
That's where we say, okay, we get it. We're giving up this, but we're getting that.
Yeah.
Versus we're getting nothing.
Yeah.
And we're struggling to make it work.
Yeah. I mean, I think initially when we started this project, when we start talking about where the entrance should be, your concerns are, we've talked about it too. It's the parking, people coming in, they're trying to back out. It's dangerous.
tight.
It's
Yeah.
I've been down there measuring and stuff, and I'm just watching people like almost get hit. And
We couldn't get the entrance on the front side because there's an elevation and because of the ADA accessibility.
they would have to set it back.
It
and-
wouldn't.
It would go into your space,
Well-
which you can't afford to lose.
Yeah, and
Well,
And
not
that's
only
why I
that,
get to the
not only
seat
that, but
part.
if
They're
you-
doing
if you
6
think
anyways.
If it was the fact that the elevation was too great for the ADA compliance.
Right.
well,
know,
Yeah, the
the
elevation
architect
change
said
is
he could
different
do
than it
an
is at the
inset
park.
ramp, and then you could have seating on the sides of it as people come in.
yeah,
But-
I mean, because
No, that's
I
tight.
personally
Plus-
wanted the entrance on.
Plus, that doesn't help the
streets-
pedestrian
street,
experience because
you know.
you're encroaching into the sidewalk,
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is where people are walking back and forth.
yeah,
But as they're walking by and people are sitting there hanging out, the first thing you do is like, what's going on here?
yeah.
Yeah.
And what do? You stop and you
Yeah.
look. You see your menu. You see people in there. You're like, let's go in here. It changes everything.
But you have actually a great opportunity right here. And this could be one of the most important factors of
So,
how successful.
Let me ask about, because I never thought of blocking that parking lot off.
I'm not talking about blocking it off. I'm talking
No,
about
you
getting
said
rid of
like
that.
making that to where people couldn't make an entrance there.
Right.
Now, is that where we just have plants blocking that so people can't get in, or do we have to literally go on the sidewalk, get rid of the ramp that goes into that parking lot, and then direct people down from Camino de la Estrella down in there?
Yeah, I mean, that has to be worked out with Public Works,
Like
but
that seems to me like a
no. All you
big
need
issue.
is a barrier of some sort to keep cars
I
from driving
think
in.
that's where the cities you have to have the conversations with, because they're going to talk to engineering, they're going to talk to planning, and they'll come back to you with options, and then
I'm just telling you
Go
the
from
L
there.
shape of the building.
Yeah.
Because until I didn't even really notice that kitchen area in the back
it's big.
walking by here.
Yeah.
But that gives you a space where you can create some outdoor pedestrian use, mostly waiting and generating interest in your business. Especially if you're going to have 100 people or so coming in and out of there.
Yeah.
So again, the details of that, the landlord has to obviously agree. It's like, well, you're a tenant, but again, I don't think you're going to be successful with this the way it's set up, because I'm a patron. I'm not a whiskey drinker, but hey, I'm gonna give it a try. But I'm not. If I come up here and I just about get knocked off the the landing, and then I can't even get in the door, and I have no place to wait, I'm not coming back. I'm just telling you, you know, and I'm not like super picky, but
I
that's
think
a
part of
problem.
your constraints is you're not the owner, and you don't have control, and right now it's a two tenant configuration. And you're gonna, change it, so that's, something you maybe need to talk to him, hey, since we're making it from 2 to 1,
Well, not only that, but
you can start maybe even discussing.
he wants you guys as a tenant, right? He would desperately
Yeah,
like.
he's gonna make a lot
have
more
you.
money.
We're locked into the property for the next 20 years.
Yeah, so,
So
you
we
go.
well,
just need
that's,
to make
again, we're not
it
gonna
work.
talk about the economics of the
Yeah.
thing, but we're also trying to be practical. So I'm not suggesting something that's gonna be super expensive, because
Yeah, yeah,
I know what these
yeah.
things cost. Okay, so there's an idea, a solution. You guys take it or leave it.
Yep.
But I think you have a great opportunity. Let's go back to the 4
Yeah.
Define these.
items.
Before I leave this one here, I just want to ask, what are your thoughts, design review folks, on this space here? This becoming, obviously not the frontage, but this kind of area between the patio. And
That's your opportunity right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be your hub for waiting.
Oh.
to
Well,
get
we
in.
did, on some of our renderings, we did leave some seats out there. That would be, because right now they have that little crappy bent up gate thing out there. So that's kind of where we said, hey, we would have, whether or not it's a couple umbrellas and some,
Can we go back, please?
To that.
For me, if I'm thinking outside of the box, I'm ditching this and I'm making this your entrance and I'm pushing those seats over here.
Yeah, you got a grade problem.
And then,
You can't get the ramp to work
You can't?
because it's higher elevation
Because
from
of
the
the street grade?
from the
yeah, from the
floor
sidewalk,
to
it
the
goes
sidewalk.
up. So we would have to come
That was
in.
the whole problem. Like initially, what I was saying is that I really wanted the opening on because to be more pedestrian
If
friendly,
you're at
but
grade,
it was just
it's
not
a great-
ADA
Great
accessible.
idea.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
But it's like a 2.5 foot.
is it really?
Unfortunately,
Which
it
means you
just
need
doesn't make it
30
for
foot.
ADA accessibility.
That's too bad.
Yeah,
You know.
it is because that's
Well, I
obviously
mean,
the prime
you
way
could
is to
probably-
get people to go in
You
there.
could probably make a nice big walkway in and have stuff on the sides, maybe.
Can
No,
you
I
make
think
this-
that you've got an opportunity
Yeah, can you
over
make
here
this-
on this corner.
Maybe this and push whatever you have over here. I don't know. This
I mean,
just
we're not
seems-
going to design it for you.
Yeah.
This is the area.
I thought you guys were free. You're an
And
architect,
especially-
right?
No, we're not
Can
designing.
we just get 3 copies of this?
But, well, I mean, the recommendation is
Yeah.
go to the planning commission. But this is the area you need to focus on. This is a problem, okay, and there's no place to wait. And that leads me to, if you can go, and I think it might be helpful to go on Google Maps and look at the whole street frontage.
We have.
Sorry.
You're good. You're good. You're on
A
a
couple
roll.
of the renderings we did. We had like little groups
Mapas.
inside and stuff, but we made the distillery area
Better than mine.
Not a big deal. I mean, put it up, yeah.
Okay. So if you even go down a little bit, we have
Whoa.
historic City Hall, right? Couldn't get more Spanish colonial
Look left a little bit.
than that. But then we have this part of the building, which is pretty nondescript, but look at the trellis. That's an element, that's a strong element that lends itself. Instead of the awning, for instance, it gives you a sense of scale, of depth at the front, and then if you continue along,
Man, this thing, it goes forward
there's a
so
lot
much.
with that thing.
Yeah, it's a little,
You're getting dizzy.
maybe,
I mean, even, you've got the trellis, which you sort of see, this is obviously the beginning, right, of your space. And even if you had a trellis that continued and then wrapped the corner, where we're talking about eliminating the driveway, that could be a feature for your outdoor waiting space, right? And the trellis is relatively inexpensive,
Yeah.
and it's a feature that you get rid of the awnings, which are a maintenance problem anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, there are awnings on Spanish colonial revivalist architecture, but the trellis is a much stronger element.
Yeah.
That really, so then you can check that box, okay? We're leaning more towards, bringing it into the sort of Spanish colonial revival, and the Spanish village by the sea. And it also, if you wrap the corner, then it becomes a feature that you can use. You can hang plants, you can potentially put uplights, whatever. And that could be a really nice space there without having to spend that much money if that thing wrapped on this corner. So the out of the four, you already had two of them more or less addressed. And then you're addressing the top two because you're enhancing the pedestrian experience with the trellis, and you're kind of killing two birds because you're also enhancing the architecture.
Yeah,
and that's bringing it.
And that's a big space over there that, if that was all covered with the trellis,
Right.
If it was the
just
length of that,
Pull all the way around.
Have some nice vines going up on the trellis. Could be great. And that's not an expensive solution.
yeah.
So how do the people walk into the barber shop with this with the elevation thing that you're talking about? How does that?
Well,
I don't believe it's ADA.
it's not ADA.
It's not ADA compatible.
Oh, okay.
And it's I guess he's been there forever, and
Yeah, because it's all grandfathered in.
Yeah.
So that kicks in when you do certain tenant improvement. If you're a brand new building, you have to be ADA compliant. If you're converting the space, then based off of the cost of the project, you have to invest a percentage of that into ADA upgrades, or become compliant in a lot of cases. So a significant project like this would trigger full entry compliance.
Which one?
The other thing is, I know, red tile or whatever, but if you have the trellis, you do have a cornice up there at the top. And I'm not trying to spend your money, but there is a nice detail where you can use the barrel tile along the cornice. And that, again, that'll bring it into more of the style that we're looking for at this location. And it'll connect it with the old city hall. And then this becomes, a great part of our hub,
And a focal
our downtown hub. You see people here under the trellis, hanging out. It's much safer because you don't have cars coming in and out this way. There you go. And I'm not even going to send an invoice for that.
What's the willingness of the owner to maybe support in some of the?
Well, he wants us to spend as much money as we want.
Well,
He's not
his contribution.
putting any money.
He's not putting any money into
He
it.
won't.
No credit for TI?
So we did negotiate rent. So
Yeah,
we knew
like
the process
partial
was
rent.
going to be.
But he's not. He's
So
not
we did
doing
get some
anything
free
for
rent, some
TI.
half rent, but because we were like, we're not going to move in and start paying rent day one because it's going to take us a year to get in there. So we started this in September of last year. So.
Well, the stuff that I'm proposing,
It's pretty
even
basic.
if you don't, there's not a lot of expense. You're going to spend some money on the exterior.
Well, we got to put a grease trap in the parking lot. We got to rip that out. I mean, there's a
it's gonna
whole
be-
bunch of other stuff. But as
And
far as
the-
the
and the
inside
other
goes, it's
part
just
of-
blowing it all out.
Trying to do anything with the existing exterior, like, it comes down into then getting into the earthquake compliancy, with
Yeah,
the
but the
footings
stuff I'm
of-
talking about, there's no
No,
structure.
yeah, but like just trying to change any,
Like busting a hole in that wall because I wanted that
Yeah.
whole side to just open
we
up.
wanted it
And
with
it was
like
oh.
Los Molinos with the doors and everything like that, but then that was, he'd said $20,000 per footing for earthquake. And so and
So
same
lose the
like
wall?
trying to change the
There's
elevation
some areas,
out.
that were
Trying
load
to
bearing. It's like,
change
you need to do this with engineering.
Elevation of the front, they were just like, this will cost you more than, I mean,
Well, you're replacing the
owner would love
storefront,
it,
right?
but-
The
What's that?
storefront's being replaced.
The whole thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the barbershop's gone. They're on a month to month.
No, but you're taking out the
The storefront
window.
system, the windows.
Well, we were going to keep,
No,
we were going to
gonna
replace
keep it.
those. We were going to replace
Just with
new windows and doors.
But keep the frame.
Keep the frame, yeah.
Yes,
Everything was
keep
gonna be
everything
the-
the same and just replace the windows with brand new ones.
So the trellis is not going to affect.
I like the
structure.
trellis better than
I-
awnings.
yeah,
And we
I
did the
really
awnings
do,
because
so.
it was existing.
Yes.
Okay. So then you've addressed all four.
And that would,
Of the
like you
guidelines.
said, that would work, so we wouldn't get any pushback if we put instead of the awnings.
We're not approving.
No, I understand, but because you guys are the recommending committee, that this would
Yeah, so
tie in,
You
like
have a lot
what you
better
said,
chance of
just-
getting
okay.
approved.
So now, let me ask you that, like, so trellis far, like how far does it allow, are we allowed to go on the
Yeah.
sidewalk?
So
You
you
can-
can't have posts on the sidewalk, but you can encroach over. So there has to be an
3
overhead.
feet, 4 feet?
I believe it is. We'll confirm with
Okay,
you
and
on the
then
distance.
Also too, so like your idea was to just continue that around the corner. So, and then whatever the length of our patio is, that could just butt up right against that and then wrap.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, once you get back on the property, you can extend out a little
Yeah.
further.
That's all allowed.
And put a couple posts.
Yeah.
Well, we're not the building department.
Yeah.
Or, planning will work with you on that, though. But this is a doable solution,
Yeah.
in my estimation. And the big thing is it's really, I think, gonna give you a much better chance of having success there. If you solve these couple problems, and then you're drawing attention
Yeah.
to yourself, which is
What
what you
if
want to
you
do.
what if you think so like let's say front entrance is not a good solution. What about in closer to where I have those plants on that big blank wall? Like on the storefront looking north?
Here?
No, that's
Oh, here?
right there. Like that area.
But we can't take that out
Well,
because then that costs $20 extra
Well,
$1,000 per
Well, if it's, again, you need to talk to your structural engineer, but if it's a single opening, let's say that you're cutting in, you can usually replace that shear wall somewhere. Let's say, for instance, you filled in the corner door,
Yeah.
and that became sheer.
Yeah.
And then you cut in a new door a little bit further over, which is gonna help you circulation-wise anyway.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to structurally upgrade the building.
So
I know
you're
that's
saying
a
if we
fact.
fill in the existing opening and cut in right next to it, you don't think that we have to put in any new footings for that? And it's just a wash money-wise? I mean, not a wash money-wise, but I'm saying.
Yeah, I do these things.
Oh, well,
Okay.
no, that's why I'm
Yeah.
just double checking, like.
Yeah, you
because-
have to replace the shear wall,
Okay.
okay?
And
Which
that
you're
wouldn't-
doing by
We'll
filling
talk
in
to
the
that with
opening.
our.
Well, let me write that down too.
You should have a structural engineer,
Yeah.
although it's mostly non-bearing,
Everything in there that we were doing was non-load bearing.
but you're cutting
But we're-
in, you're putting in a retractable roof, which, that's a fair amount of cost, and I don't see a big gain there, I mean, it's up to
Yeah.
you.
Well, so one of the things.
COVID and being able to.
Yeah,
have
so,
seats and
but if
all
we
that.
don't have doors or windows on the proposed patio area anyways, I mean, even if that was a solid roof, it would still pass as a patio. So like if you go to MRK, they have that front, it's got a full roof on top, it's just open out there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, even at Nick's, you have that front
so that
area,
they have the
which is
glass.
completely open,
Yeah,
but I'm not sure why you have the retractable.
I wouldn't, yeah, I agree. I wouldn't even do that. I would
That's a
just
lot of
cover it,
cost.
but have it open.
Yeah.
Like at bar level, like here, and you put your drink right there and you're looking down the street,
Or even if you have the walls, just put a fabric roof on the
So that-
thing or
yeah.
something, just to give it some shade.
Yeah.
But take that money
use
and
that for
put
a
it
different
into
opening.
some of these other things that we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, because if it's raining, they'll sit inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if it's below 70.
Yeah.
Well, then you
You
can.
need it covered for shade, I think.
Yeah,
To make it pleasant,
yeah,
especially in the summer.
yeah. Oh,
Well,
yeah,
the
it's-
other thing I noticed is you have good south exposure on that side,
yeah,
so it's going to be warm out there.
yeah.
You got a setback to the next building, the sun's going to be shining right in there. That's a dynamite space.
Yeah,
You need to take advantage of it.
yeah,
And it solves your problems with our overlay district and
okay.
CUP, I think.
Yeah, I just think parking's a challenge, but that's
It's always gonna be a challenge,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
ideally, I would, because if that's going to be, if this is going to be your new active outdoor space, but you're right on the edge of the asphalt. If you give up a parking space or two, you can, then it becomes a little bit more attractive because you can do different things
Although
there.
I don't think you have to do that, because you're getting rid of that driveway,
So maybe you
and
just
all
use
you're
that
putting
space.
in is a turnaround.
Yeah.
So
So
you're
we-
gaining, you're netting at least 15 feet, right there.
So, yeah,
Why was the ramp blocked off in the first place?
well, because
Who blocked it off?
it just became I don't know who blocked it off, but it became, I think the landlord did, because people were cutting down and driving fast through the parking lot to get to El Camino instead of going all the way down to,
So you would solve that problem.
Yeah.
There's so many problems you couldn't solve.
Yeah. I mean, that ramp is a little dicey in my opinion.
it is, it's
It's
a
pretty
good
steep. It's
grade.
very narrow with brick. I mean, with wall that you scrape your car. I would never drive down.
So there, I could see a little bit of a traffic jam happening there when people just coming down, they're like waiting for cars and people wanting to get out and it becoming an issue, but we'll take that in consideration.
Okay, well, hopefully,
I
that's
think
good.
we've said enough.
That's good.
Thank you.
input.
Thank
Is
you.
it adequate?
Yeah, I think we have good feedback. I mean, what my primary takeaways are: explore. Well, number one, the primary entry right now is on the side of the building, and look at making that space more pedestrian friendly. There's a number of ways that we're expressed of how to do that. Number two, take a look at how we can, if we can, modify the parking element to remove that curb cut and allow for access down. We'll talk to our staff engineer about that possibility and see what that would look like. And so those are the two main things. There was details within that, of course. We offered the trellis element, et cetera, but I think that gives good direction of
Cool.
what
Yes,
we would
thank
work on.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
luck
you
to
for
you
your
guys.
time.
We're looking
Yeah.
forward to having you in town.
Well, we're here already.
No,
Part
no,
two.
your business. Yeah.
Some
Your business.
barbecue downtown.
Right up the
Actually, we
street.
are.
We're already operating, we're good to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, have a great evening. Okay, moving on.
Alrighty.
Patient gentleman back there waiting.
Thank you, sir. This is Rob from Studio 6.
Yep.
Representing the applicant. Next project, let me get that one on the board here. Should mention, not in an overlay.
Thank
I
goodness.
think I need to announce the project, so.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Let's
Oh,
have
go
the
ahead.
chair
Take it away.
So it's on the
introduce.
record. Okay, next project, minor architectural permit, 22-424, and minor exception permit, 22-423. Okay, take it away.
Thank you. The project before us today, not sure quite how to say, is it Ellie? Is that how you pronounce it?
Right.
Ellie Bonadonna? Okay. Residence is an existing single-family residence located at 113 West Mariposa, proposing a second-story addition of 735 square feet to a legal non-conforming single-family residence, a rooftop deck over the addition, and two additional decks at the second-story elevation. The project is located within the residential medium zoning district. The existing residence is 1,149 square feet, and as noted, proposes a 735 square foot second story. This is an increase over 50% of the existing residence per the municipal code. An expansion of greater than 50% to a legal non-conforming structure requires review by the Design Review Subcommittee. That's why we're here today. The existing building is legal non-conforming due to its encroachment into a portion of the side yard setback along the southern elevation. And we have a short presentation here. You can see the project's location. It's a little faint there, but it's this property right here. Here's kind of a high-level overview of things I just noted. Again, it's an existing one-story residence, legal non-conforming, 1,149 square feet, proposing a 735 square foot second-story addition, a roof deck above that, and two additional deck locations on the second-story elevation. Here's a street view of the existing condition of the residence that you can see there. Here's a comparison of the existing condition floor plan for the first floor, and then compared to the proposed improvements here, which are the result of the legal nonconformity. Here is the encroachment of the 3-foot side yard setback. This dimension here is 3 feet. Side yard setbacks to be 5, so this is what's making the building presently legal nonconforming. This area here is an expansion of the existing master bedroom. This distance here is approximately 6 feet. It's a continuation of the legal nonconforming setback to this distance here, and enclosed. Next slide. Here's the footprint, if you will, of the proposed second-story addition over the existing structure. General location here. This slide here represents the location of the 2 proposed decks at the second-story elevation, and then here is the second-story roof deck proposed here. These are some elevations provided by the applicant. One you can see the front elevation here, looking from the road. Again, the second-story addition being located here, with the roof deck here. Small deck off the frontage as well here. And then an image of the right elevation, looking, I guess, north toward El Camino Real, noting the roof deck and the second-story addition out to the limits here. A deck proposed here, and then a side deck that you can see over here over the existing structure. That can also be seen in this view here. These are some high-level findings made with regards to the minor architectural permit and the minor exception permit for the community. I'm sorry, for the proposed improvements. Staff feels that the proposed improvements and architectural treatments would be in general appearance and character with the neighborhood, would be in keeping with that. That no properties in the vicinity of the project would be adversely affected, specifically with regards to detriment to health, safety, or welfare of the general public. And the quality and architectural integrity is improved with the proposed project. At this time, staff is looking to the design review subcommittee to provide some feedback specifically to the architectural design and whether determination of the project can be forwarded to zoning administrator for approval. That concludes the slideshow.
Okay, thank you. Does the applicant have anything you want to say?
Unless you have questions for it. For me, I have nothing to add.
Okay. Any questions for?
I just want to, can you go back? Yeah, to that drawing. Can you just walk us through the drawing here? You know, some drawings are, that's it. Some drawings are like, well, that's representative. We're really going to use tile. It's going to be red.
That's it.
That's it. So talk to me about the roof materials.
Roof material is a standing seam metal, bronze finish, so it's all steel.
Okay.
Same thing with the wrought iron detail. It's all steel. It's going to be anodized in a bronze finish as well. Probably we'll have glass, because I got to deal with a 4-inch. I got to deal with a 4-inch sphere, but so we'll have glass as well. Stucco is going to be smooth. The windows are all steel.
What color? Do you know the color of the house?
It's kind of a cream off-white color, kind
Okay.
of pretty close to where it is today. And that's the extent of it. I mean, obviously the bigger part of the house is the owner wants to, well, he wants more square footage, so he's adding a master. But he also likes to entertain, that's why
All the decks.
The deck's off the bonus, then obviously he gets a little bit of view, and of course the roof deck above the bonus room, he gets a great view. So
there's an ocean view from that.
Yeah.
And you're going to replace all the windows?
All the windows being replayed. We're gutting the inside of the house. You can tell redoing the entire kitchen, and so it's a. It's not going to be their main house. It's maybe 2 months a year they'll be here. So they like New York weather better, I guess. But, you know, he likes to surf, so certain times of the year he's gonna come here and this will be the place they'll hang out.
Okay.
They've got kids in San Diego, so they might be, grandkids come and might be hanging out more.
So that upper roof deck would have a glass guardrail.
It would be steel with the glass insert, so it'll be essentially the main structure
Okay.
is steel, and then we'll have glass, like almost sandwiched in between it, because of the he wants the style of the rail, but he doesn't want it so solid that it's going to block the view. That's why we've designed it this way with some glass, so he can get that protection in view.
Okay. And the other ones are a combination of solid pony wall with the rail.
Yeah, if you notice on the second floor plan, if you go to that plan,
Because that's kind of what it looked like from the top.
on the master,
I do have some other elevations I can.
yeah, we have the other side elevations as well.
Here, which
So from the front of the, from off the master, he wants some privacy from the street. He still wants that deck to come off the master, but we've created this, essentially we're gonna build in a planter there, and he's gonna add some landscaping, so that's the part that'll be solid. But then the sides will be the open rail.
are you talking about this area here, Rob?
Right.
Okay.
Who does these sketches? Do you do those?
I do. Colors too. I got an architecture who I like to draw, and as soon as I stop drawing, it's all computer, I'm retiring.
Well, you can still do these sexy.
I can still do those. I do all the design for the firm, so everybody else turns it into CAD and turns it into flat images. So I like drawing.
Yeah. I can relate.
It's a lost art, right?
It is a lost art, yes, I agree with that one.
So this railing, this is railing and it's open with glass inserts.
Right.
Okay, so it's not a wall.
It's not a wall. It's
Okay.
You can see right through it.
Okay.
You could even put glass behind it and then
Yeah.
just run that in front.
I was just
Yeah.
confused by the color drawing.
Yeah, we did a house in the Port Streets in Newport, very similar to that.
Okay.
So.
And this is a window arrangement?
Yeah, that's the staircase. So the staircase on the inside is floating around. So he wanted some natural light that would come, because we're adding that new staircase on the first floor, but he liked the natural light that right now it has. We're going to be blocking that. So with the staircase, we decided to still bring the natural light in on the first floor and the second floor. So it's a two-story element inside with the staircase, and the bonus room goes up against the staircase.
Okay. Okay. And you said standing seam on the roof? Because you'll see that roof.
Yeah.
And then the ironwork or whatever for the guardrail, that'll match
Right.
that finish.
And the windows themselves, he's kicking around the idea of going black on the frames, or maybe even matching the rest of the metal on the house, but he's not 100% sure yet.
Okay.
Because going with the bronze is a pretty high-end custom
On the roof?
on the windows.
Yeah.
On the windows?
He's using probably it's called Arcadia,
But it's aluminum.
stainless.
Oh, it's stainless.
Because he doesn't have any maintenance.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's, if you're only there a couple months a year, I guess that makes
He wants to
sense.
come there a couple months a year and just hose the house down.
So the reason we're reviewing this is because they're going over 50% for one thing, I guess, but because it's legal non-conforming.
Yeah, so the one setback is at 3'6" instead of
Right.
5 foot, and so they're permitted to carry that 3'6" further than it
Over
exists
back.
currently.
Yep.
But if they carry it further, while adding an addition that's greater than 50%, that's what triggers the design review requirement.
What about the two-car garage? I mean, none of those houses have a garage, right?
Right. Yeah,
It's
the
all
parking's
street
all
parking.
in the courtyard here. One good note that you're making there. So along the frontage, they've presently got a gate. We talked about this. So one of the comments we got from DMT was that they're gonna have to they're requiring an easement up and around like this to be recorded
For an ADA sidewalk to nowhere.
ADA sidewalk, which in the car cannot overhang that. So one of the things that we've provided a comment about is moving this gate up.
So you'll get one.
It's only 15 feet, I think, to the property line, which is inside of the sidewalk, right? This
Yeah.
property line's a right-of-way line. sidewalks beyond that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But we have to bring the sidewalk because you can't, 88 can't go down on the ramp.
Yeah.
So we have to go in so it's
At the
level.
driveway.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the easement will be
Okay.
recorded
It's
up
a
and
zig and a
around.
zag.
And then we'll die right into the neighbor's fence.
Yeah, it'll stop right here.
Although it does help you if you have an SUV and
Well, yeah,
park in the front there.
Yeah, they'll move the gate. We'll have one car in the front and we'll have one car behind the fence. So.
Oh, so what, okay, so you can't even have the car overhang into that.
Not a 4-foot ADA sidewalk.
Yeah, and we had looked at this as well, just as a side note, to see if this was previously a converted garage, and this is an approved structure. It was approved. So the parking would be inside the gate. I think there's two cars that can park inside there, and then perhaps once the gate's moved up, another spot here in the front wouldn't overhang the easement. So
What about that picket fence or whatever, is that just gonna stay there?
That's staying.
Yeah.
Unless something changes, but right now, the only thing that we have to look at is that, we have to have that ADA minimum 4 foot wide. There's a chance that sidewalk, it doesn't look like that sidewalk is exactly 4 feet, because according to Zach, it's gotta be 4 feet behind the curb line at the street, the concrete curb.
Oh,
So
okay.
we might have to move it. We are probably going to file with the city manager, requests not to allow an exemption, but we wanted to get through you guys first. So.
Not to allow it.
There's a sidewalk waiver
Oh,
option that can be filed with the city manager. It's handled through the Public Works Department, where they would look at specific conditions
Like
of
a
the site.
Okay, well, I mean, I would say it's, what you're proposing is an enhancement. I think you probably agree, and it's how you find a compatible on that street.
Yeah. Well, we're doing one down on Mariposa you guys already looked at, which is that 3-story, you guys looked at that one down the way.
You've been here
Yeah,
before,
no.
right?
Oh, yeah, no, I recognize you.
Yeah, I recognize you. You've been here before.
Yeah, we've been, it's been hanging out in Coastal, finally got that approved.
Oh, you did, okay, congratulations.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think the concern, I guess, would be that it's non-conforming on that side setback. And it's going to be more non-conforming because there's an addition that's also non-conforming. So can you notch that back to 5 feet? I mean, so that we're not like increasing the amount of non-conformity? Does that work? If you look at the site plan. I mean, that, where you get the blue circle,
in this location here.
can you still make that work and not, I guess it tightens up that bathroom.
But we would still be here, even if we didn't do that, we would still be here talking to you guys.
Yeah, but I think we're inclined to say, it looks good, but if there's a consideration of other, again, properties and it's on the side that's already non-conforming. If it was on the other side and you're in the business setback,
Here, I can show you. Let's see if
Let's
I
just
got.
clarify what new non-conforming we're adding.
Just the
Just-
bathroom.
What's that right here?
it's just that.
Okay, on
Yeah.
the first floor.
Right.
Right here.
What is that then? 7, 8 feet?
It's like 6 feet.
Yeah,
Which
like
is-
6.
It's a single story.
Okay.
Can you go to
Because
this
the 2 stories
elevation?
on the opposite side, so that's really where the deck above will be.
So it's 1.5 feet.
It's 1.5 feet.
It's,
But if you look at our roof deck, it would jog that and the roof and, all kinds of fun.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right.
I mean, you're adding a lot. The only thing that, and this is a personal thing, I really don't like those spiral stairs, and you're going to see that.
We're gonna see
I
that
mean,
no matter
it's-
what. Conforming.
I would like to see some other solution. I'm not inclined to say it's a ZA that's approving it anyway. So
Right.
I'm not inclined to say that we recommend a denial for that. But those are dangerous and they're just ugly. I've yet to see
The problem is trying to get one that would conform, that
that would fit.
that would fit, all that fun stuff. But I could bring that up to the client and see
I
if
mean,
that's something they would do.
The stair that's done well can be an architectural enhancement, you know that. And those are never an enhancement. You know, it's just a purely functional.
Well, he and I
Maybe-
talked about him going up there and drinking wine on the deck and trying to walk down after a couple glasses. So it's a concern we've had.
Can you do a straight ramp up?
Can't do it straight. It would have to be a switchback.
Yeah.
So this and then that, a
Right.
turn, a
Yeah.
right turn.
Yeah, it'd be like a U.
A U?
Yeah, we'd have to go up, hit a landing, and go up. We might have
Yeah.
the room to do it, and we probably, the concern he has is he doesn't want it to be so solid, because he likes the fact that everything's kind of laced as far as open on that deck and the roof deck.
You could do a regular stair and still have it sort of open.
Well, I could probably do it with this couple steel stringers and cantilever the treads. It just, gets into a lot more money.
Well, you're spending a lot of money on this
Yeah,
stair already.
No, yes. That's something we can bring up. Obviously, if he does say, no, I'm in love with the spiral staircase, I've always wanted one.
Which would be a lie.
Which would probably be a lie, but
I'm kidding.
he sent me a bunch of pictures of some houses in New York that's got the spiral staircase, and he obviously has thought about it. But
That's, I don't think that the roof deck helps. I really like your sketches, of course, and I like what you're doing, but the roof deck is not, and I understand why, you got ocean view, but proportionally, I think it's too much, for the house. But I'd be inclined to say, yeah, it's fine. But that spiral stair, not only are they dangerous, but I think they take away from the quality of the architecture. So, I don't know about you.
Would you pop up from the interior?
can't wait to pop up in the interior, because then we have to do, because we're dealing with that 25-foot height limit, we'd have to go, we've done a lot of roof decks in San Clemente, but we'd have to go up a half a flight to a landing, and then hit a door, and then go up the rest. Because
Inside, yeah.
inside, so it'd be a combination of inside, outside. And then that would absorb the bonus room space.
I looked at it, you have room to do a good stair, which would be an enhancement. Otherwise, I wouldn't even, if it was like tucked in some corner. But,
Are the stairs going to be a nuisance?
The spiral?
No, just, you have them outside, right?
Yes, I
Are
do.
they visible from the street?
You'd have to look for them, but yeah, it's pretty far back there.
and
Can you hop the fence and just get on the stairs and go up to the roof?
It's a second floor. You'd have to hop onto the second floor.
Oh, okay.
It's from the
So it's only off.
So it's not from the ground?
No, it's right off the second floor deck.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, that addresses that.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and then what percent of that top deck is it covering?
It's covering the bonus room. It's covering the bonus room above.
100% of it?
100% of it, and then a little bit of a roof overhang just to protect those doors, those sliders coming off the bonus room.
you
on that
can
mid
see
deck.
the shadow underneath. On that.
So it's not going over the master bath or the master bedroom.
Yeah, it's gonna stop here. Yeah.
So it's,
And what we could do, if you go with that floor plan, the second floor plan,
Go back to the front.
you don't mind if I stand up and point?
go ahead.
Yeah.
So what we could do is an option. I've got a 5-foot setback here, we're fine, that's 5 foot. I could look at something, taking this general area right here
Yeah.
and create that staircase this way.
Yeah, that's what I
Where
was
you come in, walk up here, landing, up, and you're right on the deck. That's an option.
That's a good option. And that's where I was kind of seeing that you do have room.
Right. So I can talk to him. I'm with you on this. I don't like spirals, but that's an option I could talk to. And it'll be outside. We can make it really kind of almost like a floating piece. So it ends up being part of the architecture.
Mm-hmm.
Spiral staircases themselves are not cheap, so this probably wouldn't be too much more money.
Where's the view?
The view is if you go from there, nope, straight down, other way.
Down.
Yeah.
Towards the.
Yeah, so most of your view, obviously neighbors can do what they want to do next door too, but his view is primarily looking down the street. He does have a good view this way to a certain point, but this neighbor, I understand, is entertaining doing what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell my clients, don't ever build with the idea over top of somebody's house, because they could always block it. And you're gonna be up, so always, understand that they're gonna do what you can do, and it's gonna block your view.
So this, where's the roof line?
So the roof lines, we got the, well, where's my elevation off the top of my head?
I can go back to I've got the roof here.
There it is. So here it is right here. Roof line does this and this. So this is the gable part. This is, what they call California frame over top of it. This is the master bedroom, and the roof deck here.
Okay. And the view part is here?
The view part is looking this way.
Is his name Brian?
Okay.
Brian, is that his name?
I mean, he can, there's a 2-story right over here, right next to us, and of course CVS is right on the other, that's right.
Yeah, that's only two
Just
blocks
beyond.
over.
Yeah, nobody
And
wants
this
to
is the
see
stairs
Right.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Just because it just seems like this is very large and it's the massing of it over the roof, it seems.
But it's tucked pretty far back from
The street?
right.
Okay.
So, but yeah, if this is a concern, I don't have a problem. Now, what happens if my client says no? He can always.
Well, it's a ZA.
Right, so the
Yeah,
ZA,
it's not- yeah,
so the
they-
ZA is gonna take, you're gonna have, the comments are gonna be that.
They're
you
gonna listen to our
recommend.
comments.
Right.
I
So the
assume.
ZA can make, and that's Cecilia?
Yeah, we'll have specific findings that staff would have to make with regards, there'd be a comment about the spiral staircase and maybe the aesthetic. And then, there would be findings that would need to be made, but, at that point,
But it's more of an aesthetic as far as the finding.
Well, I think there's a safety issue.
Yeah,
And you can see it from the neighbors.
But the spiral staircase is not technically a safety issue because it is built per code.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
we're just making a recommendation here.
no, I get that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I was 10 years on the design review board in San Juan, so
Okay.
I know how it works.
So what would you say about your project then?
What would I say about it?
Yeah.
It's been a struggle. We've done so many things on this property, but we're happy with the way it's turned out. Architecturally, we've taken kind of a very,
Do you need our help with your client at all that you don't like and you want us to say, yeah, that's it, we shouldn't do that?
yeah, sure, yeah. When he's in town, which is so rare. But the big thing was trying to enhance, his view. The day he bought the house, he and his wife went on the roof to say, "Oh man, we got to get the master bedroom up here." And then I said, "Well, you can also do a roof deck." He goes, "That's crazy." So to try to take all those elements that he wants, he's thrown a lot at us as far as the
Yeah.
scope and be able to get what he needs and what he wants and still conform to some minor issues. But our goal was to try to make it architecturally pleasing. That was our main goal.
Yeah, no, I think you accomplished that. And it's not, though it's a lot for that small property, it's not unprecedented on that street. I mean, there's plenty of houses.
And that's a multi-family zone. I mean, there's apartments all around us.
It is, yeah.
So,
yeah. And, the way it's situated too is that you've got a multifamily next door, but it's a 1-story and the massing is kind of pushed back.
we did that on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, similar with the, if you go diagonal back, it's a similar scenario. I'll just show you. We got some, here you go. So here we are. This is sort of pushed back all over here, a 2-story element. This is, I don't think this is 2 stories. I think it's 1
It's
story.
about 1.5.
1.5 or something. And then similarly, you've got this kind of back at an angle here, higher massing, so kind of comparable. And then you do have the neighbor back here, but
It's a cool spot. You can walk to the beach, you can walk.
Oh, perfect.
I wouldn't mind living there.
No, it's not a bad spot at all.
Got a roof deck going here.
That
too.
roof deck, yeah, there's a roof deck there. Everybody's, San Clemente is just riddled with roof decks.
Oh, yeah. Well, understandably. All right, I don't think we have any other
No.
comments. We appreciate your work.
Well, we enjoy it. We're going to be having another large project coming your way soon, so we'll have fun with that one.
Just keep up the good work.
Well, it's Cornerstone Church.
Oh, yeah.
Australia. We did the original building.
Okay.
The church, and now we're doing phase 2.
Okay.
This is part of the master plan.
Yes. I have seen that one.
So we're moving along. We've been working with Sarah on that a little
Yep.
bit. So.
All right, Rob. Well, we'll
Thank
see
you so much,
you
guys.
then, if not
I
sooner.
enjoyed listening to the.
Yeah, I bet you did.
I'm always so surprised that for some reason either the owner doesn't want to pay or they're really truly not an architect, that they wouldn't come to a meeting like that. That, they wouldn't be here to interact with you guys.
Yeah.
Strange.
I agree.
Thanks, guys.
All right, have a good one.
Probably said he charged him, so.
Yeah, send me
okay,
some
we'll
stuff
take
and
it.
then let me know dates when we're going to go in front of the ZA.
Yep.
Perfect. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, so that concludes our projects. New business, I don't see any. Jonathan, we have anything new?
No new business.
Okay, old business, none. Any oral or written communication?
No one else in the room.
Okay.
I will
Well, you could
move,
have got something in writing.
I will move we adjourn to the next regular meeting of the Design Review Subcommittee on Wednesday, April the 12th, 2023 at 3 p.m. in the community room here at City Hall.
I guess I'll second it. I'm the only second in here. Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're adjourned. Thank you.